episode 81 with Evolution's Kevin Bastien Popowick and Joey Morency. Let's do it. Hello, folks. How are you? Welcome to episode 81. I've shaved my head. I went to the store. It was going to be 3 hours. I could not wait. I had to leave. So I shaved my head. Welcome back. Glasses, compliments of our friends down in Florida there at Vitalize, getting the blue light out of my eyes, keeping me sleeping well, and works. It actually really does work, and I've been snoring away, and Chelsea's been loving it. So shout out to her. As well, thanks to our sponsors at Conway Customs. Scott, he does a fantastic job with all our decals all over the cage and our posters and printing and a lot of that stuff. So shout out to him at conwaycustoms.ca. Boom. It's been a while, folks. We haven't done a podcast. I guess it's been last week. I don't know, maybe Wednesday or something like that. Today is Monday. We got a good one for you. Two athletes out of the Ottawa-Gatineau area. A guy I've spoke to for a long time, actually. He's a pro MMA fighter. He's 1-2 record. They're both out of Evolution MMA, like I said, in the Ottawa area. Joey has a connection here to the East Coast a little bit. I want to chat with him about that. And so Joey Morency is the first guy we're going to bring on here, and his training partner, Kevin Bastien Popowick, and chat with them about MMA, their careers, fighting in Ontario, the multiple different promotions that they fought for. There's a hell of a lot that have kind of came and gone in Ontario, unfortunately. So I kind of want to chat with them about that and their experience. They have a great team there. So we'll bring them on, chat with them about that. And well, just to keep everybody updated with us, what's going on. We're working pretty hard behind the scenes to get everything situated. We're very close to getting our proposal to the commission to reopen. So that should happen probably in the next day or so. And then we wait. So once we hear back from the commission, then we can move forward. We're slated for a date later in August, and that's the plan as of now. And if we can go from that, fingers crossed, we can do, who knows what we can do. There's lots of talk of between John and I of how we're going to do this, but the sky's the limit, and there's a lot of fighters and athletes who are really looking to get out there and compete. So fingers crossed. Anyway, let's get on to our first guest here, folks. Again, 1-2 is a pro, 5-2 is an AMI. Super talented guy. He's just coming off an injury. He's a strength trainer now. He's from the Ottawa area. He's done a ton of grappling. He's done a ton of MMA. You're probably going to see him on one of our events in the near future, whether it's grappling or MMA. This guy, again, he has some connection to the East Coast. I don't know what it is. I've never got it out of him, but we're going to find out what it is now here, folks. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Mr. Joey Morency. How are you, sir? You can't hear me?
Not hearing you.
You hear me now? No? Maybe not. Maybe not, Joey Morency. What about now?
Yeah, I can't hear you for some reason.
Well, I'm going to kick you out, Joey. I'm going to kick you out. So just join back in if you get a chance. So, yeah, sometimes that happens here, folks, when you're live, I don't know if anybody's been watching. There's a new series I've been catching up on. It's called The Newsroom. It's on Netflix, I believe. It's actually really, really good. Jeff Daniels does a fantastic job in it. And it's kind of all about this kind of stuff, actually being live and when things happen. So hopefully he can get back in here. It's sometimes you have trouble on these things and usually have someone behind the scenes to deal with it. But now it's me. All right, let's see if we can get him back in here. Mr. Morency.
All right, we're good. Yeah, it was an issue with my headphones. Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good, man. Glad to be on. Appreciate you having me on. And yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about the headphones. Sometimes, I actually told you to get the headphones on, so that's weird. My apologies. But I'm glad to have you on here. It's been a while. Like I said in the intro, I've been talking to you for a hell of a long time. Quite a few years now that we've kind of spoke back and forth. about competing for us or just competing in general. How are things going through COVID? And how's your training?
Yeah, man. Strange times for everyone, I guess, but making the most of it. I'm a bit lucky in the sense that I've got a pretty full gym in my garage for strength and conditioning.
Nice.
Got a 10 by 10 mat space in my basement.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and one of my training partners and coaches, he has probably a 15 by 20 mat space in the garage and some weights as well.
So you guys are laughing.
Yeah, we've been able to get a decent amount of training in all things considered, and we may have been doing some extra training on the side at some undisclosed locations.
Well, I think everybody is, Joey, to be completely honest. It's life for a lot of us. It's mental health, physical health is a really important part of our lives, and to go from 10 to 0 for a couple months, sure, but after that, it's like, okay.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I feel like I kind of got a head start on my COVID in a weird way because I was out with a knee injury, so I went more than a few months without doing MMA training. I was still training a lot during rehab, but as you know, it's not the same, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's it. I kind of wanted to ask you about that. We'll see if Kevin can join us here in a second, but I wanted to ask you about that. Your last fight, tough fight versus Kyron Cameron. You blew out your knee. How has the rehab gone? Like that's been almost a year and a half, or no, just about late 2018.
Yeah. It must be a year and a half by now because the fight was November 24th, 2018.
Yeah.
And I had surgery in April 24th of 2019. So I'm just about maybe 14 months post-surgery now. So yeah, probably a year and a half or more since the fight. Rehab actually went really well. I've got a good physical therapist and strength and conditioning coach, and I've got my own experience coaching and strength and conditioning. So I guess base is pretty well covered. So I've been fortunate in that sense. And rehab went off without a hitch, and I actually got the go-ahead to start training hard and even competing the same week that the lockdown was announced. I saw my surgeon for a post-op follow-up, and he gave me the go-ahead.
Nice. Yeah, because I knew that because I think we spoke possibly. I was like, hey, can you fight? Are you interested in fighting? You're like, not yet. I'm close, but I'm not yet.
Yeah. We spoke a few times, and I wanted to stay in touch with matchmakers and everyone who's involved in the sport a bit because I actually am really eager to get back in there, and I had a bit of a rough start to my MMA competition career, so with sidelined with injuries. So I'm hoping to make up for lost time now and really give it a go.
Nice, good. Yeah, that's good to hear, man, because you think coming out of this COVID thing, I'm sure there are lots of guys and girls who are like, this time off has felt really nice, like the drive might have left a little bit. Some people are the opposite, obviously. There's people that are dying to get back at it, but there very well might be people who are like, oh, the injury's got the best of me, I'm good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had a lot, like I said, I feel like COVID for me started when I blew out my knee, especially the day after surgery. I mean, it's a long road back, but you have your moments where you're like, Jesus, do I really want to do this? Or like, am I going to be able to do this the same way I did it before? And, I would say overall, I was always pretty optimistic, but like anybody, you have your days and it's a long road. Like I was starting to go pretty crazy, especially near the end. So I've never had so much time off before.
Yeah. That's ACL, was it?
Yeah, I fully tore my ACL and partially tore my lateral meniscus. The very beginning of round 2, I shot for a takedown, and I slipped. The canvas was kind of like a plastic, it wasn't a real canvas cloth.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a slip and slide show that night, and unfortunately, I got the worst of it.
Yeah, you and I spoke about that actually before about our canvas. You're like,
I'm telling anyone who will listen if they're running a show, get a canvas because it'll be worth it. It's a better surface to fight on, and it's a safer one.
Yeah, I think it's a future investment for us here in the near future. I think is would be a smart thing. You just never know what can happen. It didn't seem to affect anybody in the first event. I was quite sure it's not as bad as I thought it was actually. And when it arrived, I was like, oh, and then I got on it. We put some water on it and tested, and it wasn't too bad. So, and between every round, it was completely chamois dry, and so.
Yeah, it just depends on the one you buy, I guess. And I just had bad luck for that event. And
Yeah.
Kevin fought on a later event, and he said the canvas was perfect. So
Yeah.
that happens. That's just, right. That's part of.
Oh, that's it. Our decals were they were pretty grippy too. So I think it helped. Like I think random places you had some nice grip, and
Nice.
but it's everything's a learning experience, whether it's an athlete or a promotion or whatever. And you've competed in a hell of a lot of promotions, man, through the years. I want to ask you. Oh, there's Kevin here. We'll bring Kevin in here to join us live. So he's a training partners with Evolution MMA over in the Ottawa area. Kevin Bastien Popowick. He's a professional MMA fighter. He's 0-1, but he had a great pro career, very similar to Joey. And let's bring him on and talk about his future plans and how we get into this goddamn mess we call fighting and martial arts. Kevin, how are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. Finally, my apologies for the link giving you some hassle.
No, it's my stupid phone. I hate it so much.
Yeah, sometimes, man, technology is not the best, but
yeah,
we appreciate you giving her all and getting it done to join us, man. So obviously, Joey's already joined us here. Your training partner. We were just talking about MMA and the grind of injuries and getting through camps and like what the future is for him and how he's been kind of dealing with COVID. COVID for him has been good, to heal. How about for yourself?
Yeah, for healing up injuries and stuff like that, it helps. But like gyms being closed, not being able to train, not being able to roll with basically anyone, it's been rough. Yeah, you result to running. Like I'm lucky, I have a gym in my garage, so I'm able to train a little bit. But you don't have as many bodies to work with.
Yeah, that's the thing, and there's no like you can hit as many pads as you like or whatever, and it's that normalcy of it too. I think like garage training, we're all used to it at some point in your career. Not that I MMA, but through jiu-jitsu, you do lots of garage or dungeon training or whatever. But it's like it fucks with your whole preparation as an athlete, right?
Yeah, like just the mentality of going to the gym, it changes everything.
Yeah.
When you wake up in the morning and you eat your eggs and whatever, and then you go train in the garage, like your fuck workout, like, yeah, okay, you're helping, and it's not terrible, but you don't have Joey there being like, all right, keep your freaking heart rate up and all this stuff, right?
Yeah, very true. Yeah. Very true. How important is that for you as an athlete? Like again, Joey, I guess I'll ask you, Joey, like again, going back to that exact question, like gym training versus garage training, like we've spoke to both you guys possibly about fighting in the near future. Like, how do you think that could affect you guys?
Well, like I said before, I think at least in Kevin and I's situation, we have been fortunate enough to get some training in. It definitely doesn't substitute or replace, regular training, right? Like when we're in the gym and everyone can come in and we have all the bodies we want, and we've definitely lost access. But I think we've been making the best out of a bad situation, all things considered. And hopefully, as the weeks and months go on, training is going to be much more accessible to all of us in Canada. So.
Yeah. What about you, Kevin? You think like I noticed for you, like you've put on a ton of size in the last couple of years. Like you've really, yeah, dude. I was like, holy shit, he's a big boy, man. Like, is it like it kind of does give you time to just keep working on that? I guess.
Yeah, like these last few months, I put on a lot of muscle with that Nation Strength workout. Shout out. Right. Like Joey's doing my programs and everything, being a strength and conditioning coach, and getting so strong. Like I live with my MMA coach, so I'm able to roll with him and everything.
Nice.
He's 200. He's a 200-pound guy. He fights at 170. And the other day, I was like, let's see if I can bench press this guy out of mount, and I was able to.
Oh,
So I
wow.
was never able to before, So
Wow. Good for you. That's progress, I guess, right?
out there.
Jeez, man. Big boy. How tall are you?
I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, 6 foot, lanky.
Yeah.
It's definitely an advantage for you in that featherweight, lightweight.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, but being lanky, you have to cut a lot of weight.
Yeah, true enough. What's that for you, Joey? Like, obviously with that, you're helping athletes cut weight too, your strength training. What's your favorite kind of athlete to work with?
I kind of like the variety, to be honest. Yeah, Kevin's probably up there, but no, I think the interesting part about coaching and working with anyone is just kind of making tweaks based on individual differences. And I mean, it's obviously nice to have the soldier who just kind of follows everything. But if I use Kevin as an example, like we have a pretty good rapport and we can like talk to each other, and I kind of know where he's at and how he's feeling. Like he doesn't. There's just a good line of communication. I'd say that's the best. You want someone who can tell you what's on their mind, and if they're skeptical or if they really like this or really dislike something else. I think just a good line of communication, someone that you can be open and honest with, is the best. Because sometimes, these guys who just take orders and they just do it all, you might be running them into the ground by accident.
Yeah.
They just keep saying everything's fine. Only to find out weeks later, you're like, oh, we maybe redlined for a little too long,
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. Yeah, it's important to know your own body and your own what you need to work on and strengthen and fix as an athlete. Kevin, like that's why it's important to have, like, Joey's obviously a training partner too, but to have somebody who's so knowledgeable in those fields, man, is just like, it's a win-win.
Yeah, like the other thing is Joey being a training partner, I see him every day. So I could literally, all my strength and conditioning workouts in camp are day to day, is how we're feeling today, how we can set up the workout. Yes, the template is there. Like even if you're feeling like shit, you still have to do sprints, but like there is room for adjustment.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. And when you're there every day, it's a natural environment and that's, I guess, where that good rapport comes from.
Yeah.
Joey, what's these Nova Scotia roots, man?
Well, I was born and raised on the East Coast, on the Quebec-Labrador border, actually. So
okay.
I only moved out to Ottawa when I was 18, but yeah, no, I'm East Coast through and through. Was born and raised there. I've got where the Quebec-Labrador border is weird. We're hated by the Quebecers, but kind of rejected by the Newfies. We're like these in-betweeners. But I've spent a ton of time in Newfoundland. I've been to Nova Scotia probably 100 times. I've been, New Brunswick, PI. Like a lot of summer vacations were spent.
Nice
times, So I've always wanted to fight back east at least once in my life before I've got to give it up. So
nice, cool. Yeah, I'm always shocked how many messages we get from people who are like, hey, I'm from Nova Scotia originally, or I left when I was 18, kind of thing. And I'd love to get a chance to compete, and I think that's great. I think it's a wonderful way because you can come home and compete in front of people you haven't seen in a long time, and it also, from a promotion standpoint, it's really good for pay-per-view. So it's kind of a win-win from a promotion standpoint. Switching to you, Kevin, I'm interested to hear like your first pro fight, a tough fight, we'll say, and I don't mean that in brackets in any disrespect, but to Siri, but he's like really highly touted prospect. What was the feelings kind of going into that fight? Like you're both like kind of these up and coming prospects. He gets a lot of attention. What was your kind of feelings about that fight?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't know who he was. I had seen like when they gave me the name, I watched the fights and stuff like that, and I knew he was good.
Yeah.
I thought I was probably better everywhere. Like what happened in the fight, in my uneducated opinion, I'll say, basically the only thing he had on me was experience.
Yeah.
He had more fights pro. Like he's 3-0. I'm going into my pro debut. I had an opponent fall out, and I really wanted to fight on the card. And he was. There was another option, but I didn't want to fight that guy. Not at. I had fought him before. It was Lachar, and I didn't want to fight Lachar pro debut. I had fought him twice amateur, and if we were gonna fight, it would be later on in our pro career. Like I don't want to fight the same dude 3 times in a year, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Trilogy.
So
that's
Siri, Siri was the guy, and I knew that it was a hard fight, but
you look good.
Yeah, I felt good going in. The weight cut went well. I felt taller than him. The striking went well. There's a few things that I was complacent with, and basically, like, he elbowed me, cut me, and then kicked me in the friggin' head, and then that's it, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But yeah, attitude, I think just how you're talking about it right there, like attitude is everything, man. And it's all about growing and learning and getting better, right? So good for you for taking the fight for one, wanting to fight, kind of, you know, if there's a ton of people who would have found the way out there, right? So good for you,
well,
man.
I'm gonna be a little bit smarter with the matchups now.
Let's tell the story, the side that never gets told right now.
There you go, Joey.
BTC came back with 3 names, and Kevin picked the toughest name by choice. Like he's like, this is the best, toughest guy. This is the guy I want to fight. In my head, thinking more as a, you know, training partner, and Kevin's a client, and I, you know, I help him try to find fights and stuff. And you know, to me, like I had spent the year injured, right? So I didn't get to train with him a bunch. So I didn't want to overstep, but I also kind of said, like, you know, Kevin, like there's 2 other guys on this list they gave you. Maybe we could maybe put more thought into these. And he was like, nope. We talked to the MMA coach. We talked to Vince. And let's do it. And no regrets at all. But, you know, when hindsight is 20/20, you always think, you know, maybe we should have put more thought into the other names. But me personally, like I would, you know, whenever Kevin gets offered a fight, like a lot of times I'm involved, and there's zero hesitation on my part, to be honest.
Yeah, very talented guy, Kevin, and I think it's amazing that the talent in Canada. It's blows me away every day. To be completely honest, I find out about new athletes and people who are just like getting kind of their feet wet in the pro scene, and it's really exciting to me. I think Canada has in the next 5 years or so is going to really open some eyes in the world. Again.
Yeah, there's a lot of good guys out there. There's, you know, like if we're talking about just Gatineau, just Gatineau, we have Evolution here. That's like the best BJJ that I've ever trained ever. Nice. We have Pat Node. They're really tough guys, super good. Everybody's nice over there. We have Zach that trains over here and at Pat Node, one of our other training partners. Mm-hmm. If you go over to Montreal, there's not just TriStar in Montreal. There's gyms like H2O where there's like killers like Fred Bra with Brandon Lee, monsters, guys that like, you know, yes, they fought and they've had like maybe 2 or 3 fights pro, but like when those guys start to get up to like 15 fights, 20 fights, like if this is it might be a stupid romantic feeling from my part, but like if the gyms could like basically team up and like not just fight each other whenever there's fights around or amateur fights and stuff like that, like actually train together and learn from each other. I think we could have multiple world champions.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Joey?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of opportunity, a lot of potential in our region. We have a lot of active pros, and I think we have a lot of promising guys, as well as coaches. I think the big thing with not just Gatineau or Ottawa, but the country as a whole, especially if you look at from Ontario all the way to the East Coast, there's a lot of opportunity that's missed. TKO's gone. Now COVID has kind of slowed down other shows. There are shows, but I'm fully supportive of what you're doing and what you're trying to do with FLA. I just think,
Thank you.
people should be tipping their hat to you and the other promoters, because it's a thankless job and it's not a very profitable one.
No.
Yeah.
And it's not one that gets a lot of support, even from its own peers, unfortunately. BTC came to Ottawa last summer, and they didn't get a lot of support. And that's not just the region's fault. Everyone had a role, but I think as a community in general, we need to be really trying to rise each other up, and there just needs to be more shows. And if we can just have a bit more consistency as far as fight cards, I think Canada could really rise up, because again, there are a lot of promising guys, but the thing is I think we can all name 10 or 20 or more guys where we're like, man, like if there was just a bit more opportunity out there, that maybe that guy could have been a fair fighter, the guy could have fought for a living, like a real living.
I couldn't agree more. Like if you could be like, say for example, and this just hearsay, say you guys came, you fought here in August, and then another promotion ramped up, and it was like early October or whatever. And like, if promotions could ramp up and like schedule, and obviously there's different it doesn't matter province to province, but locally, if you can work together, I don't know what it's like in Ontario, but out here we work together somewhat, and it's, I know we're gonna have a podcast here actually next week where we have Jamie Champion from Prospect,
Nice.
Ourselves. We have Lee Mean from obviously Rumble in the Cage, and Adam Lorenz from Modern FC. And we're going to all kind of sit on here and just kind of hash it out and talk about how we can help one another and work together. Like, I look at Jamie, like obviously Lee's an OG in Canada. The guy's there's not much you can say about the guy. And Adam Lorenz, talented fighter, does a great show out there. And then obviously Jamie in Ontario, there's not much you can say about Prospect. What beautiful shows he does there too. So it's like you say, man, it's important to work together so you guys can have more opportunities.
Yeah, the MMA community needs to take the pro wrestling model, the old school pro wrestling model, as an example. I always have pro wrestling examples, unfortunately. I was a wrestling nerd growing up. But the old school model before the WWE and WCW became massive organizations was there were just territories everywhere. And all the territories and promoters talked to each other and traded talent all the time. So it's just a matter of helping each other out to like, look, like this guy's good. I know it's expensive to pay a flight, but maybe we can work something out. Like, give me this guy, we'll trade for that guy. And I don't know. I know there's ways, like if everyone gets in the room or gets on the phone and
certainly
figures it out, because you're not really each other's competition.
No.
You each have a piece of the pie. Like everyone has their province or their region, right? So not to blast TKO. Like, I think TKO was cool and did a lot of cool stuff, and it was nice to be on Fight Pass and have the Bell Center and all that. But sometimes that stuff, while nice, is a bit of a flash in the pan. It's gone forward. Could really get started up again, and it's hard. It's hard to run a show, but
but it's like we
all help each other out. And
earlier, man, like, slow and steady wins the race. There's no tricks in business, guys. It's at the end of the day, if you're going to go out and blow all your cash and stuff in your first show, and you're borrowing money and that kind of stuff, you're setting yourself up for and a lot of people, I find too in this business, they don't want to learn, they don't want to take advice and that kind of stuff. Like, and it's like, well, hold on here. Like, I've done, like, this is my 22nd event, and I look at myself as I don't know anything. Realistically, I have no clue what I'm doing. Truthfully, like, I really don't. Like, there's a team, like, for real, man. Like, there's a team of, I sit here and I'm like looking at matches and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it is so hard to do this kind of stuff, but it's like anything, like fighting, you learn by practice, by muscle memory. You're like doing it and doing it and doing it. If you're an athlete, look at you, Kevin. If you're an athlete, you're in the gym, and you're like, no, coach, I'm not listening. I know what to do. You're not going to get very far, are you?
Yeah, no, you're just gonna lose a lot.
Yeah, and everybody's gonna hate you in the gym. Everybody's like, well, he's obviously knows what he's talking about, like, and so, like, it's
sorry, everybody hates me in the gym, anyways.
Yeah, right. I don't think so, but I don't know about that. It's you got to be tight in that community, man. Like, you got to be you gotta like you're punching each other in the face. There's no better bond in the world, eh?
No, you definitely build some strong relationships doing this stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have any other friends than my fighting friends. Like my best friend in the world, Zach, training partner. We've been training together since we were 16. 16. Joey's we've been training together since we were 17. I helped out for the first weight cut ever that I did was with Joey.
Nice.
We cut like 14 pounds like idiots. It was amazing.
But that's it, right? Like you end up like your circle becomes just gym people or people that like train with or other gyms or whatever. And it's weird because slowly but surely, like as you get older, it gets even smaller too. Sometimes you'll be at functions and you either get the people who like, especially you guys are MMA fighters. I'm just a jiu-jitsu guy, but they're like, hey man, let's roll. Let's fucking roll right now. Let's roll, man. All drunk, You either get those people or you get the people who are super interested in it. It's always interesting kind of going because deep down you're like, I don't really want to talk about this, but
yeah. Like I'm at the gym a lot with our jiu-jitsu coach Dan. He's the one who owns Evolution.
Nice.
Dan, like he knows everybody. He's like we're talking about you talk about like training trips and stuff like that, and he goes, oh yeah, this guy we used to train together back when we were white belts in Montreal and everything, and you're like the names that come out, you're like, what? You know him? You've seen him? He's like, yeah, we used to compete against each other all the time. Like, all right, man.
Yeah, small world. It's a beautiful world too. It really is a beautiful martial arts family. It's so small, and that kind of leads me to another question for you, Kevin. Like you mentioned on it before about fighting the same opponent twice. I kind of wanted to ask you about that. Like, what was your feeling going into that second fight, knowing that you lost the first one? Like, what was something like? Was there stuff that you wanted to work on, or were you just like pissed? You're like, I just want to win.
Yeah, it was pretty quick after. Like we fought in July, and then we fought again in October.
Yeah.
I didn't have any fights in between or anything like that. I was gunning after him. I told him in the ring, like I lost by guillotine. He guillotined me in like 2 minutes, and I was like so pissed off. Like this is how shitty it was. I got guillotined by a standing guillotine with his back on the fence.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. So I was so pissed. I was just like, all right, we'll run it back. And basically the camp was don't get guillotined.
Yeah, that's it.
Turns out I did.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
It's funny, but I love that. You're very humble, dude. Like just to talk about it, like who cares? That's the only way to learn. And I think so many, like you got that over with early. Like it's done over with, right? And now you focus on these winning ways, and I think you got a bright future for you, man. You're a big, lean dude that's only probably going to get bigger. How old are you?
I'm 22.
Same.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, Joey's 22 as well.
Yeah. How old are you, Joey?
28.
28. Oh man, I got 11 years on you too. I shaved my head today, so I didn't look 40. I shaved my head. Saw one gray hair. Wasn't good. Fights, man. Promoting fights will do that to you.
Yeah, it's like being president. It ages you pretty quickly.
Oh shit! You look at Justin Trudeau lately, man. I don't know if that's stuck inside with his kids and wife for like 3 months, or it's just like everything too. I think it's
lack of barber.
Yeah, I think he's got a tunnel though to like some club, just like
back. Yeah.
Like, Trump just doesn't give a shit. Like, I'm going golfing. I own the place. Yeah, it's crazy. What was competing on Sub-X? You competed on Sub-X for Aiden Mansour, I think, Kevin, didn't you? Both of you guys did.
Yeah. Yeah, we competed on the same night.
Nice.
I competed a couple times. I ended up competing against the same guy twice. Again, a rematch. I got ankle locked in a tournament, and rolled in a rematch.
Yeah.
And did that. Joey went competed. I competed another time after that. Aiden's a really cool dude.
Yeah,
He's another black belt from Evolution, and he's like, he kind of like panics on a few little problems, but then like you'll talk to him and he's like super easygoing. He seems like he's panicking on the outside, but on the inside he's like super calm, collected. He's having fun.
Yeah, it's funny when I used to talk to him because I ran this event called the Submission Series Pro back in the day, and we came to Ontario and did events. We went to Alberta and did events, and I lost my goddamn hat in Ontario. But Aiden, I was talking to him after. I was like, "Oh, you know, we can," because that's what we were trying to stream for everybody. We were like trying to compete with Flow Grappling, thinking we like had the ability to. We were fooling ourselves for like a good 2 weeks. And we're like, "Oh, okay." They're gazillionaires. Okay, never mind. But anyway, so I was like, "Hey, we can stream this for you, Aiden," and he's like, "But why?" Like, he's like, "I get it, I like it," but he's like, "I don't trust it. Like, I don't understand it." So it just didn't happen. But it was a really good, positive conversation all the time. Like, really nice guy. I was always a fan of his events, and I'm glad to see he's still doing them, because it's like we were saying earlier, and like the more people that can do events, the better. Like, if there can be me, I look at, if there can be a grappling event every month, there should be, like,
every weekend.
I was a big fan of your events, man. Chokes by the Ocean and Submission Series Pro. I would have killed to have been on those shows back then. You had so many good events going on, and so many good guys in. I was training at Awama at the time, so we weren't allowed to do certain tournaments and certain.
Yeah.
Was that a question for me back then? But I hope you keep running events forever, because or as long as you want to. But
thanks, man. Yeah, we won't get into that whole stuff. That's a different thing altogether. But it's over a beer sometime, Joey.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's man, those events, like, I looked at it like, for me too, it was really good for us, because I've always been involved in events and that kind of shit. And I looked at it and I was like, you know, do I want to do this? And after doing so many jiu-jitsu events, you're like, what's the point? Why am I doing this? I'm just losing money. Or you'd make a little, like $1,000 or something. There was no point in doing it for the amount of bullshit you would deal with dealing with grapplers. Like, crazy, man. Like, if people are always like, MMA is way worse than, and I'm like, can't be. There's no possible way it can be worse than dealing with jiu-jitsu people. No way. And
was it?
No, not even close.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm telling you right now, like, how can I compete with an event that is going to pay Gordon Ryan or anybody $10,000? I don't give a shit who you are in the world. It's so hard. Like Kasai Pro, they're probably making a little money because they're doing it smart. And Seth Daniels, who's doing Fight to Win, they're killing it too. And they have a fantastic business model. But other than that, like, it's a hard go to make money in professional jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I think especially in Canada, we don't quite have that no-gi grappling culture compared to the States. There's some pockets in the States where they love it, and if it's being streamed, they're making money that way. And then you have, you know, some of the events like Kasai and whatever, they've got a bunch of backing, right? So
yeah, fingers crossed. We had Halls Gracie on here, actually. I think it was last week he was on, or last week or the week before, and we were talking about Kasai Canada. So stay tuned. You never know what's going to happen here. Maybe another event here on the East Coast in the near future too. So
cool.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So lots of stuff in the works behind the scenes, guys. Almost too much. My head's about to explode. But it's just, man, there's some interesting ways to go about those events. But man, like, I look back when the first stream. Because it's like a fighter, I guess. Like, you get, like, get that confidence, right? And you're like, oh shit, like as for us, we did a free stream, and like we had all the Atos guys here, and Keenum Cornelius. He actually hacked our stream. It was a free stream. At one point, we had like 10,000 people watching the goddamn thing, and he hacked it. He hacked the stream, and him and Kit Dale commentated over our commentators and like made fun of everybody competing. It was hilarious. It was so funny though. It was just like, okay, like, you made it, right? Like, you know, if these guys are stealing your stream, and then you go to Toronto and you do a fantastic show. But the momentum and the money that goes into those kind of shows is, like you say, you got to have huge backing, and it's just the only way to do it.
Yeah, it's a tough man. It's just a tough racket to be in.
No, it is. Even MMA, like for, it's like I get lots of fighters message me. They're like, listen, my next fight, I need to make more money. And I'm like, yeah, well, me too. I got to make more money too. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you made more than me. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I didn't make shit. I worked 6 months straight. So, but then you look at the high level fights, man, like it's so totally opposite. It's like I'm no genius. I don't know anything about like the UFC and the payment. That's a whole different business that I don't speculate on. But there's got to be, like, you look at some people fighting for $10,000, man. Like there's got to be a way to fix that big time.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm kind of with you on that. Where like, if you're not in the UFC, you're probably not underpaid.
No. I agree.
Yeah, the regional scene is again, like, I don't want to sound like anti-fighter right now, but the regional scene is an opportunity. It's not a living, right?
You're pulling out Dana White's quote from last week.
That's right. Yeah, but
Masvidal was like, oh, really? What about Masvidal's like, I'm gonna play opportunity mode on EA Sports UFC then, because that's like career mode. It was hilarious. Great comeback. But
in Dana's case, he's wrong. Like, these guys are they're career fighters.
Yeah,
they probably do deserve to get paid more. But I always laugh when you hear a regional guy being like, I'm not fighting for them. They'll only pay me, X. I'm like, you're not worth anything.
Man, like at the end of the day, like it all goes on. I love fighters. Don't get me wrong, I'm your biggest fan. But at the end of the day, like, it's costing me money. So you need to sell tickets for me. And I need to promote an opportunity.
Ticket sales.
Yeah, we work together. I'll promote the shit out of you. You use it, share it, get yourself out there, and sell some tickets. You can make some good money even as an amateur. You can sell lots of tickets and lots of like T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. If you promote yourself, get some good sponsors.
Yeah,
I made more money selling tickets as an amateur than I made on my pro debut.
There you go, classic example, right? Like,
I didn't have to pay for medicals. That's,
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, when you're fighting amateur, you don't.
Well, who pays for it?
You fight on Indian reservations.
Oh, so there's nothing, like, no.
Yeah, there's a doctor there, like, you do like your 40 blood test or whatever, but like.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's how were they? What was that experience like, Kevin? Versus like a commissioned sanctioned fight, can't be much of a difference, really.
Between fighting amateur and pro?
No, like fighting, like you said, in an indigenous reservation versus like with
honestly,
no commission, I guess.
Like, honestly, like when I started fighting kickboxing, and kickboxing, there's even less medicals. Like, there is a commission and everything, but like, they show up and they're like, hey, do you have any hernias? Do you have any concussions? No? All right, you're good.
Lift this
Your blood pressure's a little high. Yeah. At the fights, at the amateur fights that I've done, like, you still have to show up with your blood work. You still have to do a medical with the doctor before and everything. So for me, it was actually more stringent than my amateur kickboxing career.
Interesting.
My amateur kickboxing career, I would just show up.
That's bananas to me. That's crazy to me. Like here, like, our commission's pretty strict, I will say. Like, we like, for us to put on like a mixed event wouldn't happen. Like, probably kickboxing and MMA or whatever at the same time, it probably wouldn't happen. They are a good commission, but it's interesting, like, how different things work. Like, I always hear about those events on the reservations, or in Montreal MFL, they do them, I think, a lot there too. Am I correct? Yeah,
they do it a lot. The big promotions are MFL, Fight Quest. Fight Quest has been doing it forever. Like, they're the OGs over in Montreal. Like, Fight
all
Quest.
The same place? They all the same place?
No, they do it on different reservations.
Wow.
Like, MFL is in Oka, Fight Quest is in Kawanaki. Personally, I had more fun competing with Fight Quest. I think just because they've been doing it for longer.
Yeah.
But they're super well organized. I've never like been to a weigh-in that has been like you show up, weigh in, leave. You come back to fight, you're good.
Nice.
They run the best show for amateur in our region. They're and you just wish that they could get into the pro racket, because if they ran a pro show, I think they would kill it. I think he's got so much experience, and I think he would do it right. He wouldn't be spending millions of dollars on fancy equipment or the I don't know, TV deal or the Bell Center. He'd be doing it nice and seedy, and it would be a good night of fights.
You know, I always kind of said that, like, if that's sorry, well, I don't mean to cut you off about what you said there, because that's good to hear. Who is the guy or girl or person behind Fight Quest?
Francesco Filippi and Stéphane Vigneault.
Stéphane Vigneault. Okay.
Yeah, he fought for TKO.
Okay, yeah, that name does sound familiar, so that would make sense, you know, and that they probably have a lot of respect in the community too, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, man, you guys in Quebec have a lot of bullshit with promoters.
Well, also with you, like,
dude.
you have the feeling if you like it's never happened, but like you know, he kind of has that attitude that like he might just smack you if you say something stupid, right? Like,
yeah, that's never good when the promoter can kick your ass. Like, I'm not one of those.
Yeah, exactly.
But
when you're fighting that night, you know the promoter can whoop you. Like,
yeah. That's like mean. What am I going to say to him on here? Like, other than be like, obviously, I'm going to be super respectful, obviously, to him anyway. But like, what do you say? That's like, and that's what to me is missing in a lot of martial arts. Like, there's people who like you don't have to act cocky. You don't have to. You can be lesser of like you not lesser of a person, but like you can be like, hey, I'm not as experienced as you. Like, doesn't make you better or worse than anybody, but it definitely you're less experienced. So give that person some respect, you know. And I think that's cool. I'm glad to hear that he runs that promotion, and having a fighter involved or a person who trains as a promoter is pretty much night and day. I think the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, he's been great.
Yeah, it's is Jamie? What's the name around Victory?
Yeah,
he's been big with legalizing amateur MMA and amateur combat sports, because there was the bill passed and a lot of shows got shut down and everything. He's been big with actually going with the politics of doing it legally instead of just going on reservations, right?
Yeah. So, well, is that going to bring that and pro shows back? Like, I remember, like, because there was a bunch of shit they were calling one another, and they got the jiu-jitsu tournament shut down. The cops were showing up there. It was
a lot of drama here, unfortunately, for that.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I remember
if guys would just talk to each other and work together, like, wouldn't have that problem.
Yeah. Man, I when I first started doing jiu-jitsu events, like I was a purple belt at the time, and just a new purple belt, and I was trying to do like all the coaches get together and stuff, and it was hard. It's not just like, it's people are at different stages of their careers, they're at different stages of their clubs, different stages of their life, and it was a really hard thing to get everybody together. We tried, and at the end of the day, everybody cooperated out here. Everyone really supported one another with that Submission Series Pro. Like, you know, it was a huge scene movement. Like, and it took our jiu-jitsu and grappling, and that's what we want to do with Fight League Atlantic. And that's like back to what you said, Joey. If no one gets along, things are going to go stagnant and shitty real quick.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. All right. That's all Joey's got to say. On that note, we're tired, folks. On that note, boys, you got any advice for anybody, you know, who's, I guess, Joey, for you, any advice for people getting over a shitty injury and coming back and wanting to compete? And for Kevin, yourself, for someone who's put on some size, what adjustments have you had to make kind of for your fighting style? We'll start with you, Joey.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I've got a lot of experience in this realm. I had a pretty big nose surgery 2 years ago, where I lost probably 3 to 6 months of training between surgery and wait times and all that stuff, and then I blew out my knee, for the last fight. I guess the big takeaways are just focus on what you can do. That's the first thing. Like, don't worry about all the stuff you can't do, because I guarantee you, if you make a list, like, you can still find more things you actually can do.
Yeah.
Even if it's not as fun, like, there's still stuff you can do. If you can't do cardio because your knee's messed up, well, if you have a ski erg and a stool, you can use the ski ergometer and train your upper body and do upper body conditioning that way, or battle ropes or whatever. But there's always like ways to adjust, and that's good for MMA in general, because MMA guys are always banged up. There's always something that's a little bit tweaked, like, oh, last night I got caught in the cold more on my shoulder kind of popped, so I can't really strength and conditioning work out the exact same way you laid it out. So you have to adjust. You have to just know how to use different variations and tweak your methods a little bit just to get through the day, So for long injuries, it's the same, for the first couple months, I couldn't walk. I could barely walk or run, like the first month you need crutches. But, after that first month, I was able to work out and train my upper body and still get training in. And you can also still watch a lot of footage. You can watch instructionals. You can study tape. I think that's probably something that's maybe not done enough for some fighters. Fights and study them and try to figure out what's going on and just make the most of that time. Or if that's not enough, like, just pick up a new skill. I didn't pick up any, but you can always use a bit of that extra time to read or pick up a new hobby. I don't know, but there's always something you can do. So
yeah, Joey can't read.
Me either. Apparently, I just noticed your name is spelt wrong. Sorry, Kevin.
That's cool.
My apologies at the end. I think, is that correct? Should be a K.
Yeah, CK. It's all right. So many people fuck up my name. So.
I shouldn't have pointed it out. You didn't even notice. Damn.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
So what about you again? Like you've put on some size. Have you had to change anything in your game, or or obviously you're using it as a benefit? It's nothing but a positive. But what have you kind of had to change?
I didn't change a whole lot. I'm making sure that I'm doing still the same amount of running, still the same amount of like cardio and like shoulder burn style workouts for like boxing and stuff to keep like longer combos going, because your arms die and you get stiff, right? So if you keep doing pads regularly and like not being afraid to suffer, like my style hasn't changed a whole lot. Like trying to remember that, like, I wasn't always this strong, so like maybe relax. I'm like just trying to fucking squeeze guys, but
Yeah, good. That's good.
It's nice. It's nice to know that, like, if you grab someone's wrist and never let go, he's never gonna break your grip.
Yeah. Strength is a beautiful thing.
In the words of Mark Coleman, strength is a technique.
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is.
Yep.
There's a mic drop, folks. Without that, on the floor.
It is.
So there we go. All right, boys. Thanks so much for joining us. Sorry, we went a little long there, but it was a great conversation. Again, it was great to catch up with you, Joey. Kevin, thanks so much for joining us, and all the best to you in your future. Hopefully, we can get you guys out here for a fight and fight this year in the fall for FLA 2 or 3 or something like that in the near future, and we'll go from there. But thanks so much again for joining us, boys.
Oh, thanks a lot.
Hey, can I give some shout outs real quick?
Yeah, shout outs. Floor is yours.
All right, shout out to Evolution Jiu-Jitsu. Shout out to Denji Met. Shout out to Steph, my spiking coach. Shout out to Joey, Nation Strength. Shout out to the Click. Shout out to my sponsors, Guard Players. What are my other sponsors? Moteur de Promenade, Marius, DJ Cheese Bacon. I think that's it.
TJ Cheese Bacon.
It's one of my buddies. I train with him. So.
That's a great name. I love that. Dropping the French too. There you go. Love it. Good work. What about you, Joey?
All right.
Shout out to my main sponsor, the government of Canada. I work full time. Pay me.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, it's the Guard Players. He's a good guy. He does great work up there. He's a good fellow. Sponsors a lot of fighters.
Yeah, Tommy's the best. Fight Shop, Guard Players. Check it out. And yeah.
He is a good fellow, and shout out to the government. My girlfriend works there too, so I agree. Keep it up, Chelsea. What?
Right.
Get that. Chase that pension. You chase it. All right. All right, boys. Thanks so much. We'll catch up with you soon. Lots of love, gentlemen.
All right, thanks, man.
See ya.
Awesome. Very cool. Great episode. Great having those two gentlemen join us for episode 81. Again, Joey Morency and Kevin Bastien Popowick, two athletes out of Ottawa, both training out of Evolution MMA. Really, really talented guys, and you'll see them on a card of ours in the near future. But there you have it, folks. Thanks again to my beautiful friends at Vitalize. Check them out, vitalize.us. They're blocking the blue light. You can see it in the glasses, but let me tell you, it works, folks. And, of course, shout out to our sponsors at Dragon Energy, Maritime Madness, Envisage Sport, and Conway Customs. Of course, we'll see you tomorrow, folks. We have a Newfoundland roundup tomorrow. We've done a lot of East Coast roundups, but tomorrow we have a Newfoundland roundup. So we have 6 or 7, maybe 5. I don't know how many coaches and club owners from Newfoundland. We're going to get them on the show and chat to them, see how they're dealing with COVID and all that fun stuff. But again, thanks to our sponsors. If you can be anything in this world, folks, be kind. We'll see you tomorrow. Lots of love. Thanks for watching. Remember to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thanks to our friends. We'll see you tomorrow.